Once every couple of months at my company, we get a phone call from somebody that wants to get a boundary survey on a lot, and they are oftentimes shocked and surprised when they find out the cost for the survey. The boundary survey is actually going to be more than the price they paid for the lot. So usually in my part of California where I practice, these are usually two different kinds of parcels. They're either a desert lot. So we will occasionally get phone calls to survey desert lots in Southern California or over in Nevada, or they occasionally are rural lots up in either the Sierra Nevada foothills or up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. So most of these lots that are more expensive to survey than they're worth have some traits in common. So they're usually undeveloped or vacant. So there's nothing's been built on them. They're rural, right? So they're not in a town or a city. They're out of town. They're a rural lot. There's usually no physical occupation on the perimeter. That means they're not marked out by a barbed wire fence or a wall. And they've never been surveyed. Almost all of them have never been surveyed. So they were created by deed, basically. And in almost all cases, because they haven't been surveyed, the property corner monuments aren't set. And like I said, this is not uncommon. We get this phone call a couple times a month from folks that have bought one of these lots. So if you buy one of these lots, what problems are you going to have? You know, what's the challenge now? So let's say you paid $10,000 for a desert lot, and you want to get a survey so you can, put up a manufactured home or put up a cabin, whatever you want to do. And so you go down to get your building permit, and the building department tells you need to get a survey. And so you call me and you ask for a survey. Okay, so here's the problem. The first problem is you can't locate your lot on the ground, the boundaries of your lot. Neither can your real estate broker, the real estate broker that sold you the lot. Neither can the county tax assessor, and neither can I without a lot of work. So you don't know where your lot is. You paid for a lot, but you don't know where it's at on the ground. You might have a vague idea of where it's at, but you don't know for sure. You don't have a definitive location. And in some cases, we find people buy lots, they don't have any idea where it's at. So the second problem is because you don't know where the lot's on, where the boundaries of your lot are at on the ground, you can't improve it, right? So you can't fence it. You can't put up a driveway, make sure the driveway's in the right spot. You can't put up a building, make sure the building's in the right spot. And usually these lots, the cost to survey them are large. It's expensive to survey these lots. Why? Well, I mentioned they've never been surveyed. The monuments aren't set. They're in a rural location. Sometimes the terrain is really rugged. And so that's going to be an expensive survey. So what are the consequences of that? If you have one of these lots, you bought one of these lots, what's the consequences of the fact that they've never been surveyed? So the consequence is oftentimes the cost of the survey is more than the price you paid to purchase the lot. And that's really hard for people to swallow, right? So they pay $10,000 or $15,000 for a lot, and they call me and find out the survey is going to be $15,000 or $20,000 or $25,000, right? So a lot of people have a heart attack on that. But without a survey, you can't do much with the property. You can't fence it. You can't build on it. And so what happens in those situations is the person that bought that lot will often turn around and just sell that lot to the next sucker, right? And here's what I would tell people. Don't buy property if your real estate broker can't tell you where it's at on the ground. If your real estate broker can't tell you where the parcel's at on the ground, which usually requires that they show you a survey with some property corners, you don't know what you're buying. So don't buy the lot. Part of the reason people get a great deal on these lots is because you can't do anything with them without an expensive survey, and you don't know where they're at on the ground. So to some extent, people get suckered, right? They don't know any better. They don't understand what I'm explaining in this video, and so they think they've got a great deal on a lot in the mountains or out in the desert, and they go buy it, and then they realize, it's going to take a $20,000 or $30,000 investment to even figure out where this parcel is at on the ground. So essentially what that means is, what we talked about in this video means there are parcels in California and Nevada that actually have a net negative value. In other words, by the time you survey them, and you can't do anything with the land until you survey it, by the time you survey it, the lot actually has, it's not worth the cost of the survey. The land's not worth the cost of the survey. It has a net negative value. And so what people do is they actually hand somebody a check for $5 or $10 or $15 or $25,000 to buy a lot that has a net negative value, right? So they get hosed, right? They get cheated, basically, because they're ignorant. Okay, so that's part of the reason why I'm recording this video, right? Don't be ignorant. Make sure that if you're going to buy a parcel, you or another surveyor can locate it on the ground without spending, spending $30,000 or $40,000. Now, if you go to your seller and the seller says, yeah, I can't show you where the property corner's at, or I don't have a survey, I've never gotten a survey, I'm not saying that you can't buy the lot, but then work with the seller to split the cost of a survey, right? Or get the seller to discount the price of the property to help you pay for the survey. And then you can't get mad at the land surveyor you call to get a survey of your lot when he tells you that the survey is going to cost more than you paid for the lot, right? You should know this going in. So now you know. Now I've warned you, right? So be careful with those rural lots that have never been surveyed. Remember, parcels can have a net negative value, and the cost of the survey for a rural lot can be more than the price you paid for the property.